Hello, everyone. My name is Jonah Coronis, and I am the Senior Member Experience Specialist for ASIST. And I'm here today with Emma Moore, who has agreed to chat with us about their experience and their time in ASIST. Emma is a member of ASIST who was active in the Special Libraries Association prior to the merger with ASIST. Welcome, Emma.
Hello.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started off with a quick introduction. So, if you don't mind, just tell us who you are and where you're from.
Uh, um, I'm Emma Moore. I am the librarian for mathematics and natural sciences in Princeton, New Jersey. So I'm also lucky enough to grow up around here, although actually grew up one town over from Princeton. So yeah, we played Princeton in football. I have to
Gotcha.
spit. I'm from Lawrence. I'm not from Princeton.
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, great. Well, in one or two sentences, how would you define information science and what would be your elevator pitch for information science?
Hmm. So, my elevator pitch for information science would be in a world like this where the amount of information is exponentially increasing and the amount of disinformation and misinformation is similarly exponentially increasing. Information professionals and people who understand that ecosystem are more important than ever. I work on the side where I serve my small community every day of in my case, scientists and researchers. And one of the great joys in my life is just getting to find them that correct, accurate information that they need right when they need it. Um, and it's sort of I have loved to learn things. I love to learn random things. My favorite thing to do is like go down a new Wikipedia rabbit hole. And so the sort of the secret to my success, I would say, is that I really like learning these things along with people. And I think as I tell people who are coming into this profession, you have to like information, but you have to like people, at least somewhat, to be really successful in this. And they're going to need us ever even more than ever. People who care about get not only getting the information, but getting it right and getting it in the form that it can be used.
All right, thank you. Well said. So secondly, what inspired you to pursue a career in information science?
I'm actually second generation. My father is a music librarian by profession, and I actually grew up when I would have off from school or when I'd have a medical appointment and he'd have to take care of me, but also go to work. He would park me at the university computers on the Princeton University campus, and I remember, and this is dating me, of course, opening up the Netscape Navigator browser and getting on the internet. And so I grew up in libraries. I grew up being a voracious reader and didn't quite know what I wanted to do when I started college, but I got a work study job in the library and then realized actually this is a profession that suits who I am and that I could have a good day every day and look myself in the face as a career. And that was, I would say that's 23 years ago now. So, yeah. And I've worked
Wow.
in all sorts of positions. I started out as a paraprofessional, a library assistant, worked for 3 years after college and before going to library school. And I recommend that to everybody because you really gotta learn it in practice to understand the abstract and the theory around the profession.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really special. The fact that you were able to, yeah, experience maybe your dad in information science too. And yeah, thank you for sharing too. All right. So, as well, why did you decide to join, well, what was then the Special Libraries Association, but is now ASIST?
I got my degree and was basically looking around for anybody in the tri-state area in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania who would hire me. And actually, I spent 5 years as a business and social sciences librarian working with undergraduates, but then was lucky enough to come home and get a job at the Institute for Advanced Study where I work now. And I succeeded someone who had been in this position working for mathematicians and physicists for 35 years. And I met her once, actually on video call before I took the job, but she had left a list of instructions of this is how to do the job, which I would wish for everybody. And
Yeah.
one of the entries was join the physics, astronomy, and math community. Division back then in the Special Libraries Association because that's where you'll find the folks doing as close as possible the same day to day, working with the same kind of people. And so I joined about 9 years ago, March 2017, and that's been my home ever since. And then I stayed with SLA because of the great people that I met there and the chance to sort of learn about leadership and learn about leading within a community of my peers. And I think that is something that I hope goes forward in ASIST. And I'm already enthusiastic after going to the 2025 annual meeting that I can continue learning in that way and supporting my profession in that way.
Very great. Well, we're glad you're here, Emma. Um, all right. So moving forward, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of your job?
Mm. So one of the very nerdy metaphors that I use to describe being, especially a solo librarian, someone who goes from the beginning to the culmination of the sort of the library process. I do acquisitions, cataloging, reference service, facilities decisions, just about everything you can think of. And one of the most rewarding things really is it's like being a gardener. And most of the time here at the Institute, I work with postdocs, and so they're very independent and they like to do things their own way. And so it's sometimes it's like cultivating a kitchen garden, and you'll go out one day and oh, someone has picked the carrots. Um, but it's after being here nearly a decade, it's really rewarding to see the collection that I now have partially built um, being there when my users need it. So it's like I'll work with the faculty. I'm not quite sure if this is the book to buy right then, and then I'll be working at the circulation desk one day. It's like, oh, I remember cataloging that book when I was a brand new librarian, and someone is finally using it. And so as a solo librarian and as a place, someone in a very small place, that is, I think, one of the rewarding parts of that. So I'm not divided from my users. I am right on the ground there with them.
That's really cool. That's great too. So, what advice would you give somebody who is considering a career in information science?
Mm. So I have talked to, I remember being the young person going into information science. Um, I think one of the things that shaped my experience was I was in school in 2010. And so there were a few people like me who had worked in the field and then were getting the professional credential and solidifying the master's there. But there were also a ton of second career folks, especially because this was 2010, but the Great Recession was still very much going on. So we had former journalists and teachers and programmers at that time, even faculty members. I have a good friend who went from being a political science faculty member and is now the social sciences librarian at TCNJ. And we also had folks who went straight from undergrad and just was like, okay, they were college students a couple months ago. And I recommend to folks who are considering either switching the career or going into this career, figure out what about the people interactions is attractive to you, and figure out what the degree for you. Don't try to fit yourself necessarily into the little box of whatever your program is. The most important thing about your program is the network that you're going to build and the skills and sort of the learn the abstract, learn how to think about a career in information science, but know that I think even as whether as a practitioner or someone teaching or doing research in information science, you have to connect it to your life, to your history as a professional, however you define that. Um, I think even especially for folks who are doing community research, you need to think about. I was very excited to see Dr. Chirag Shah's relatively new title, Info Matters, which is about basically being public intellectuals in information science and making people understand wherever you can why this matters and why getting things right matters and why information is so powerful, even especially when we have just this explosion of it in the last 25 years.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing, especially for our maybe student or early career members. That's really valuable. So thank you
Mm.
for sharing too.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you so much, Emma, for taking the time to chat with us today and know that we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And to all of our members watching, we hope you found this helpful and stay tuned for future installments of Member Spotlight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Find me. You can find me on the internet. Find me wherever, and come find me at the Institute website. And have a great day.
Thanks, Emma.